All right, so we're back with another analysis. It is October 5th. We are looking at gold and we are looking at NASDAQ because those are the only two assets that I trade with futures. In the future with futures. I should be posting more, trade breakdowns and things of that nature. But for right now, what we have on our plate, what we have on the whole agenda is this weekly analysis. So let's get to it. All right. So I like to start off on the weekly, sometimes daily, sometimes both. This is one of those situations where we really only need to pay attention to daily. I mean, we could look at the weekly here on gold, and you could see, dude. I mean, it's just we've just been expanding. So really, at this point, what you're looking for is psychological levels. You want to see price trades at these psychological levels, and then from there, see how they react. So for me, next psychological level that makes sense on gold is the 4,000 level here. All right, so until we get to that level, I am bullish long term. Now, looking at the actual price action on a daily time frame, nothing too crazy sticks out to me. I see that we have these gaps here, right? You can see that we had this gap here as well as down here, which we traded into with this bearish candle and then traded away from with the next bullish candle on that was Friday. I do see that we have these highs here, relative equal highs with Friday and Thursday, or sorry, this is Thursday and Wednesday. We have relative equal price there. So I would just mark that up as potential liquidity that I'm looking for price to draw to and trade towards coming into this next week. From the daily, I sometimes skip the 4 hour and go straight to the 1 hour. I'll go on the H4 this time just to see if there's anything important there for me, and really not really. I'm not gonna lie. Well, I will delete this gap here because I don't really care about that gap. Um, I'll pull this one over since it's also a BPR here. Um, on the H4, I don't really see anything too important other than this gap here that we ran through twice. Honestly, if you want me to make a video about gaps, just drop it down in the comments below. Honestly, I probably will anyway. So we have this inverted gap here. That's important to me. What price could end up doing is a couple of things here. We could do a couple of things here. We can play around up here, play around with this gap and then trade higher, or we could obviously just trade straight higher from there, like without even doing this whole play around thing. Or we could play around, come back lower, mess around with this gap, because if price has trouble closing above these highs, that could dictate that we're coming back for what we would call a pullback or a reversion or whatever you want to call it, back to this gap. So that's why this gap is important. I'm not saying that price has to tap this gap. I don't really care that much about the gap. H1, again, not a lot of information really. Really what we're looking for, we want to see these highs get ran coming into next week. So you can see on NQ we traded into that 25,000 level. So we're chilling around this psychological level. Obviously we are at this gap. That is like the biggest thing. There was a gap here below the 2500 level, and now we're trading to it. We also traded above a high, this high right here, that previously rejected that 25,000 level. Trade above that high, closed above it. Now we're trading into this gap here, right? So then the question is this, right? How do we react to this gap? Do we maybe trade a bit lower and then trade higher, tap the gap and then trade higher? Or do we continue trading lower, right? And then maybe come to revisit potentially these lows here. Trading isn't difficult, all right? You just kind of write what you see, and then whatever happens, happens. So yeah, we're basically at this gap, dude. We want to see how we react to this area here. Obviously, we engineered some low. This is technically the low on Friday. I want to see if we can, especially run through these lows here. I don't trust that. If price was to start swinging higher, I wouldn't trust that. I'm interested to see if price wants to continue trading lower past these lows as well, because we did trade above this high here. So basically, this all not all comes down to, but what's very important with NQ is how we trade, how we sort of play around with this gap, whether we create some type of pattern that shows that it wants to trade higher, or it continues to sell model and trades lower to these lows. So that's NQ. Like that's literally the bulk of all the analysis, right? Like it's you don't do too much. You start adding too much and you start thinking too much, and then that's when things start to mess up, dude. That was the analysis. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for watching. It's gonna be clean cut. I'm gonna edit this video, so it's probably gonna be like 5 minutes. Thank you for watching. This has been Conscious. We out.